This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Great to see all of you. I am sorry that happened. I don't really know what is going on, but that's okay. We will persevere and push through because my knocks are not going to keep us back. Hello again and welcome. Again, my name is Dan Zehr, the host of Coffee with Kenobi. So excited to be here with all of you today. We've got Mary here, Mr. Fudge, and Burnt Waffle are back, which is terrific. Robert is here. Hello, Robert. Great to see you. Tonight's show is a fun one. We're going to talk about your top 5 moments from Tales of the Empire, The Path of Anger, and The Path of Hate. Aurebesh lessons continue. The penultimate Aurebesh lessons. How exciting. Because we've only got this week and next week, and then we're done going over the Aurebesh alphabet. How about it? Darren is here too. Hello, Darren. Great to see you. Plus, we've got a bit of an unboxing, which I'm looking forward to. So let's go ahead and jump into what is brewing in the world of Star Wars this week.
And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
All right, so what's brewing this week, I was really hoping to be able to, show you this unboxing, and for some reason I'm having a hard time with my feed. So let me try something else here. Maybe I can get it to work. Let's go there. Now let's go back to here. Okay, I'm not going to give up. I'm not a give up sort of a person. Okay. No, for some reason it doesn't want to show me here. So I will just try to add a new scene. Hey, let's do that. Let's do that. You can see me, you can hear me. Life is good. Thank you for bearing with me as we do that. So, as you know, I work with Heroes and Villains, and they are a wonderful merchandising website that they specialize in Star Wars, but all kinds of superheroes from both Marvel and DC. They have Disney, they've got Dungeons and Dragons, pretty much anything cool pop culture wise. They are on the pulse of it, and they always have amazing high quality merchandise, hats, shirts, jackets, jewelry, sweatshirts, swimsuits, towel. I mean, they've got everything, and it's like really high quality stuff. Brian is here. This is the Monday. Sorry, I missed last week. We had the end of the year theater banquet for our youngest. No problem, Brian. Great to have you on the show. Liberty says, Dan's in the Jedi mind trick. We can't see him. I know. And now you can, because it's sort of weird why that happened, but I'll figure that out later. So, Heroes and Villains sent me. This is the package that it comes in. It says on the bottom, the light, the dark. It's pretty fun. And they specialize in all kinds of stuff, so I'm going to rip this open. And I do know what it is, but I'm very glad that they sent it to me. And I'll show you what we got here. Just like Amazon, their bags rip open across the bottom. And what do I have? I have got a pair of the Rebels slides. The Rebels shoes. So I'm going to take a look at that. Also, I have got the Ahsoka slides. So I am so excited about these. I need a new pair of slides anyway. So thank you, friends at Heroes and Villains, for doing that. Let's take a look at these things individually. Should I open the Rebels one first or the Ahsoka one first? Let's do a drum roll, and you can tell me which one would you like me to open first. I'm excited to see. First one to chime in. That's what I'm going to do. I know you're typing right now, and you're hitting enter, and you're waiting for it to refresh. Robert is the first chime in, and he says the open the Ahsoka one first. Let's do that. So here's how they look in the bag. Oh, everyone else says Rebels. Oh, well, we'll get to that too. So no worries here. This is going to be really fun. Right now, I can already tell the comfort level of these is really nice. they come together like that. But here is what they look like. And you know your Aurebesh. So you know what it says, right? What does it say? AHSOKA, right? Yeah, there's the O, O-K-A. So you're looking from right to left, and it says Ahsoka Tano. Let me take these tissue paper out. I really need a better setup in here so I can do things like this. You can actually see what I'm doing. Here's the side of the slides. Right there. There's a T-A-N-O. And the other side, also T-A-N-O. See, isn't it cool to know what it says right away? So there's Ahsoka. Pretty cool, huh? The bottom is just nothing like Star Warsy about the bottom. It's just the normal traction for these things. These look like good slides to have at the beach or in the pool. So there you have it. There are the Ahsoka slides. Let's see. Josh says Rebels. Mary said Rebels. Josh says there is no wrong answer. Absolutely. And welcome, Josh. Robert says, I love the smell of new shoes in the evening. There you go. These are really cool. Plus, I like that they're blue. And you've got the famous symbol of Ahsoka. And they're Velcro, right? So you can adjust the size of them to do that. Now let's look at the Rebels one. Okay, here's again the Rebels ones. With these open. Remember, while you're looking at these, they are available on the Heroes and Villains website. And you put in the code COFFEE20, and that gives you 20% off your order. Usually when they do deals, it's usually 10% off. But with Coffee with Kenobi, you get 20% off. So put in the code COFFEE20 and get 20% off your order. Here is the Rebels ones up close. Looks like there might be some writing on here too. Let's see. It's super faint, but I don't know. I really can't quite see. Oh, look, here's on the inside of the shoe. There's some Aurebesh. Can you see that? See if I can get the right angle there. So there is G. Maybe I've got it upside down. I don't know, but you can see the X-wings in the middle, like it's kind of the sky. It gives like the jet stream behind it. Pretty cool. I actually can't, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really quite read what it says, but I know there's writing there. Let's see, there is F. Anybody know what it says? I can't tell. Use the Force. Thank you. It's so faint, and my Aurebesh is probably a little rusty too, but it's hard for me to even make out the writing. I can tell that there is writing now. Plus, I'm slamming it in front of the screen. So thank you. Yes, use the Force. The sides just has the these markings right here. Both sides have them. Okay. And they also have they appear to be really comfy. And then let's see what's on the back. Nothing on the back, it's just the sticker for the size. And there's the bottom. So there you go. You've got the Rebels and the Ahsoka slides. Let me get the other ones again. If you were interested in them, check out Heroes and Villains website. I'm curious to see how they feel too. I'm going to try. Let's see. They feel, oh gosh, they're really comfortable. I think if you have these things, I think you would feel really comfortable and satisfied with them. They're just classic slides, very cushiony. They're nice. Yeah, they're kind of like spongy. I don't know if you can tell when I do this, but now you can't really tell. I don't know if you can tell, but I have not worked on for the prices right. I am not good at displaying the merchandise per se. But I like them. They're comfortable. They look super, super cool. And what I always tend to gravitate towards things that are clearly Star Wars, and Star Wars fans recognize them. But for casual fans or people who are not interested in Star Wars, they do exist. And they don't even notice that you're just wearing something cool. So I love it. So fun. And everyone is telling me to use the Force. Use the Force. Josh says, I love Heroes and Villains. I have a lot from them, but no slides. Curious how they feel. Josh, I don't think you'll be disappointed. a big fan of comfort and support. So I wouldn't wear them like to walk across like Walt Disney World per se. I think after a while they may not be as comfortable, but I'm also a fan of wearing like Merrells or things like that. But for the beach, for the pool, for just lounging around and for going to and fro when it's warm out, I don't think you could go wrong. I love them. So they're cool. Thank you again, Heroes and Villains, for saying that. Remember, use the code COFFEE20 for anything from Heroes and Villains. You'll get 20% off your order. Yeah, these are totally for the pool. Absolutely. All right, let's go into our Aurebesh, shall we? Okay, we're almost done with our Aurebesh lessons, which is pretty wild. I mean, we started these so long ago, and here we are. It's pretty incredible. I would like to think I could have translated that with the slides if I could have seen it better, but maybe not. Maybe I'm rusty. Are you rusty? How are you doing with this, with your Aurebesh lessons? It looks like Liberty and Robert and Mary jumped on right away. So it is working. The Force is working with them. Not only are they telling me use the Force, that's what it says, but they are using the Force through the power of study and just being very diligent people that are observant. And I think that's something that you can do too, because once you get familiar with these letters, once you write them repeatedly, once you get comfortable with them, then you're going to start to be able to read them and decipher them on these fun Star Wars products. I think it just adds a little bit of extra thrill to it, honestly. When you know that Aurebesh exists, when you're able to read it and translate it on products at Galaxy's Edge, wherever you are, I just think it adds a lot of fun to the entire equation. You know what I mean? So there's our N, there's the O, there's the P, which I always imagine someone going pinch, and that also starts the letter P. The Q looks similar to a Q, but without the little tail. In fact, it's completely missing the tail, which is an alert. Hey, what's missing from there? The tail. Oh, that must be Q. R is a 7. S and T are similar, but S goes slightly diagonal to the right, whereas T just goes straight down. And the U almost looks like a reverse G. I don't know how to describe it. The V is the letter Y, and that will probably always perplex me, because how could you not go back to that? Then we had the W last 2 weeks ago, which is just a rectangle, a large rectangle that's hollow in the center. The X is a triangle, whereas the W was a rectangle. The X is a triangle, and it is hollow in the center. And the new one for this week is the letter Y, which looks like a V that is a little bit parallel on the top left. So that is the letter Y. Next week is Z. And then we're done with Aurebesh lessons, but we won't be done with Aurebesh because I want to keep doing quizzes and things like that, because I think that's how you keep it fresh in your mind. That is something that I think would be a lot of fun to do, and I've already got some things in place to be able to do that. So if you have done well and you feel confident about this, congratulations. You should feel good, because this is a cool little thing, right? This is a cool little skill set to have. Now, let's go ahead and transition. Actually, before we transition, I'm getting so many more questions about this, which makes me really, really happy, because I want you to join us as you tour the galaxy with Coffee with Kenobi. I want you to join us on the Disney Wish. You were officially invited. This is it. This is the official invite, although the invite has been around for a while, but June 16th to the 20th, 2025, we are going on the Disney Wish. Go to coffeewithkenobi.com/Disney Wish to get your no cost, no obligation quote. It has the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge, which is the photo you see on the bottom right. It's got a number of children's sections that are Star Wars related. Plus, it's just a beautiful, beautiful ship. And now, to be fair, I've not been on the Disney Wish, but I was on the Disney Dream, and it was amazing. And this is an even bigger boat. Several members of the Coffee with Kenobi community are going, and it's going to be great. In fact, Terry King is actually on a cruise right now. It's not a Disney cruise, but he's on a separate cruise, and he was telling me how much fun it is, and just added to the excitement of him going on the Disney Wish with us. So book yours with Mouse Fan Travel today. You can certainly book it anyway, but if you book with Mouse Fan Travel, you're guaranteed access to certain things that we're going to do that I will announce at a later date, because we're going to have a lot of fun on this boat and surrounding the dates. Again, June 16th to the 20th, 2025 on a Disney Wish. Please, let your friends and family know. It's a great way to get to experience this incredible thing with your friends and family. All right, now, plus you're getting to meet Star Wars fans from all over the world, which is great. Now we're going to jump into our top 5. Tonight's top 5, I have combined. Oh, that's the wrong picture. Rats. The Path of Anger and the Path of Hate. Please ignore that photo. How frustrating. School's almost over. There's been a lot to juggle. But we're going to talk about the Path of Anger and the Path of Hate. I'm laughing because that image doesn't even show up in the episode. But I promise my top 5 will represent Morgan Elsbeth and the last episodes 2 and 3 of Tales of the Empire, the Path of Anger and the Path of Hate. I combine these two stories because I feel like they work together really well together. So let's go ahead and kick this thing off. I'm still laughing that I have the wrong picture. What can you do? Number 5, sales pitch. I love at the beginning of this that Pelion shows up and he makes like a sales pitch to Morgan Elsbeth, but also the way that what was she before that though? She's talking about these advanced ties that are going to show up in Star Wars Rebels that have their own shields, and they're much more sophisticated weapons, much more sophisticated spacecraft that are very dangerous to the Rebellion, as you might remember from Star Wars Rebels once Thrawn shows up and he reveals what he wants to build on Lothal. So that sales pitch and kind of seeing the marketing aspect of, hey, I'm a freelance mercenary. I'm a weapons manufacturer. Empire, I want to serve the Empire, and here's something I'm going to offer you. Just kind of, it's not real world, but it does add sort of an interesting level of verisimilitude and sort of the business side of the Imperial War, or the Galactic Civil War. I don't know. I just thought it was a cool thing to see in that boardroom. And of course, the Imperials were very stuffy and rude, and as you would expect. But I just liked it. I thought it was really clever. Mary's 5, the close replication of Corvus from live-action animation, which was remarkable. Absolutely stunning. I also was very impressed with that. And if you watch the Jedi episode 13, book chapter 13 of The Mandalorian season 2, that is where we first see Corvus and where we first get to see live-action Ahsoka too, by the way. And we meet Morgan Elsbeth. Number 5 for Robert, the amazing detail in the animation of the Star Destroyer and other ships. And when they show up, it kind of takes your breath away. But Star Destroyers always do that, don't they? Robert's next one, number 5, the amazing detail in the animation of the Star Destroyer and other ships, which we just said. Clicked the other one by mistake. Sorry, Brian's number 5. Some news reaches us more slowly than others, which is an interesting quote. Good quote. Darren says, interesting to see history of the TIE Defenders outside of the old game. Yeah, slowly kind of building in pieces. That is it completely essential to appreciating Star Wars? No. But is it fun? Does it add to the lore and the mythology and make things even more profound and layered, textured? Yes, and I think that's why it's so cool. Mary says, when I rewatched these 2 episodes for tonight, I immediately followed them with a Jedi episode. That's perfect. That's perfect. It's like the appetizer for the Jedi. Mr. Fudge is 5. Seeing the Star Destroyers, they look so good that you forget that it's animated. That's actually a really good point. I didn't even think about that too. Hey, this is animated because it looks like something you'd see on The Mandalorian or something Star Wars live action, or, of course, more specifically, the films themselves, which is terrific. Let's see. There's quite a few of you on. I don't want to skip anybody. Burnt Waffles 5. Love the backstory we got. Also, kind of knowing how she got to Thrawn, also learning where the TIE Defender came from. All those layers that they add that help provide some more history to this is just really, really cool. All right, I'm going to go on and jump to number 4. If you have a number 5, you can certainly add it here, or you can add it later in the CWK Cafe, our Facebook group. And naturally, you can comment anywhere Coffee with Kenobi is on social media as you see the post. Number four for me is the Rook fight. When Rook shows up, we haven't seen him since season 4 of Star Wars Rebels, and that was quite a few years ago. So seeing him back, even though this is something that takes place before Star Wars Rebels on the timeline, it's still cool to see the fighting sequence and the incredible martial arts choreography between Morgan Elsbeth and Rook is really exciting. Really well done. The motion capture, however they do it, is really phenomenal. Now, Diana Insomato, as she said on Coffee with Kenobi, she did not do the motion capture for it. But I don't think, is it helpful that I'm actually pretending like I'm doing motion capture on the video? She didn't do it, but when she saw the animation, and she's such an expert at martial arts, she was impressed. So to me, that's really, really neat. And Rook is such a cool, unique, kind of a creepy, like a goblin character that is famous all the way back from the Thrawn trilogy that Timothy Zahn wrote. Number 4 for Mary, the appearance of Rook and the battle with Morgan, like I just talked about, so good. Roberts 4, Warwick Davis return as Rook. It's nice he can expand into Star Wars characters whose names don't begin with a W. It's true. Wow, how about that? Number 4, we all had the same one for 4. The fight with Rook with her Beskar spear. Yeah, that Beskar spear. I would have liked to have seen how she got the Beskar spear. That to me would have been interesting. Since you're going through and giving backstory, why not throw that in there? It didn't happen. That's okay. It's not ultimately super important, but it would have been fun. That being said, it was cool to see it there and see it in action and see the grace with which she uses it as she is fighting against Rook, which it turns out this is basically just because Thrawn shows up and he says, I just wanted to see your skills in action, which he does. And she did not disappoint, obviously. It seems like some people are still typing their 4, which is fine. While you're typing your 4, I'm going to take a really quick break, and I'm going to show you a clip from this week's CWK Pour-Over. Actually, before I do that, Burn Waffles for the fight sequence, also the appearance of the Beskar spear. Mr. Fudge's forced her looking at a fish in her pond, which I talk about a lot on Coffee with Kenobi last week, because I do think there's something symbolic about that. All right, switch gears real quick. I want to show you a clip from this week's CWK Pour-Over. CWK Pour-Over is the place for members of the CWK Alliance to get exclusive weekly video and audio podcasts, where we try to expand not only through Star Wars, but all kinds of pop culture too. And as you may have known, we did a review of every single episode of Marvel's Secret Wars, the 1984-85 classic Marvel miniseries, sort of to get some really, really early hype for the eventual Secret Wars film, but more so just to kind of go back and look at comics. But this week, Corey proposed we look at this book, Superman for All Seasons, and we talked about the first issue. Here are a few clips of that episode. The clip jumps around a little bit, but it should give you an idea of what we talked about.
We got talking about wrapping up the event of the Secret Wars. It was a 12-issue series we managed to get through, which was wonderful and kind of awful at the same time. But, that's what you get around here. Just because
that describes all of us as well.
That's right. Wonderful and awful. Yes, we're not perfect. We never said that. But somebody who maybe is a little perfect is none other than Superman. And I'm holding up the Superman for All Seasons. Look at us. We're all holding up the 4-part series from Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
I was writing my final paper for the current grad school class that I was in, and it was a class on graphic novels and comic books, and he let us pick any topic we wanted, and I chose to research Superman through different iterations of him through the generations, and how, regardless of what the world is going through, Superman at his core is good because it is good, not because it's popular to be good. And one of the things I used as a resource, I used All-Star Superman with Grant Morrison. I used John Byrne's Man of Steel, and then I used this book, particularly the spring issue, because it's just a wonderful slice of Americana. Like this to me is a time capsule piece of art.
I love the way in which he uses the backgrounds to communicate the nonverbal to us. So on page 22, that
So there you have it. We talked about the first issue. It's a 4-issue miniseries. Each one is just a different season of our normal calendar, but it was great fun. That was just a couple of clips there, but kind of gives you the level of what we were talking about. I really was moved by this issue, and I really enjoyed talking about it with the guys, of course, as I always do. If you're interested in learning more, well, then you are invited to join the CWK Alliance, which is our exclusive group where you can support me and the show. And you also get, because I'm not just going to, I want to give you something for your generosity. You get the podcast, which is, you can only find there and on video. And you can also listen to CWK Pour-Over on Spotify once you are a member of the CWK Alliance. So that's pretty fun as well. All right, looks like we're down to number 3. Back to talk about the path of anger and the path of hate. Number 3, Pelion's arrival. And Pelion, I talked about the sales pitch. When he shows up at the beginning, it was a cool moment, right? One of the fun things about a show that you love is when all of a sudden a character shows up that you didn't expect to see. I didn't expect to see Pelion. But when you see Pelion, you know he is the right-hand man of Grand Admiral Thrawn. There's complete respect there. Admiration, dare I say. And when he shows up, you know this is going to escalate the episode to a tremendous level, which it obviously does. But Pelion, just the way he carries himself with grace, when he asks her why does she want to serve the Empire, and you can tell that he's not satisfied with her answer, but he just does it with a lot of decorum. And there's just a great presence about him that I really enjoyed. Number 3 for Mary, Thrawn in the Clone Wars animation style. Yes, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way. Brian 3, seeing Corvus as a lush green planet. Yes, before they destroy it. Number 3 for Robert, they're bringing back characters such as Wing and Pelion, which was very cool. Yeah, Wing, it was nice to see Wing back. Mr. Fudge's 3, Morgan using the spear, which seems she is still very skilled at. Also, I wish we could see how she got it. Yeah, I agree. I really would like to see how she got it. Burn Waffle says, how do the people don't know about the Empire being destroyed? Well, you know what? To me, that communicates that the New Republic is bitten off more than they can chew in a way, trying to govern the entire galaxy. Not easy to do. And some of the outer or the more remote planets maybe don't get the information because it's just impossible. There's not enough manpower to get to everybody. And sometimes some communities are left forgotten or they focus on the bigger ones instead, which is, you know, sad, but true. That does happen. Sometimes the people on the outskirts get forgotten about for things that are more in the immediate area of someone's point of view or perspective. So I could see it from that as well. And plus, it would make sense that Morgan Elsbeth wouldn't tell them because then it would mean that her side lost. And so I tend to lean towards that as well. All right, let's go to number 2. Number 2, I have Thrawn's audition, and it's really not him auditioning, it's him auditioning her. But I feel like he respects her so much in just his way that he's just not going to take her off the checkerboard, metaphorically. But I really think he respects her and wants to see if his studies, his famous studies, were actually going to benefit him to see what she's like. And I just thought it was just such a Thrawn thing to do, to set up. And then he asks her the same question, why do you want to serve the Empire again? He's satisfied with her answer. He's seen her in action. But it's just a great character piece, that the way they set that up, which I really liked. Number 2 for Mary. Morgan saying her entire life has always been on fire. From the first episode with Dathomir burning to her actually burning half of Corvus, she literally shows this statement. Yeah, it's pretty painful, isn't it? It's very depressing. Robert's next one. The callback in the episode title is Yoda's counsel on the path of fear and where it leads, which is really cool. Number 2 for Mr. Fudge, seeing that Morgan is not afraid to lie to Admiral Thrawn's right-hand man. And I don't even know, she didn't even realize it at that time, I don't think. But who knows? Brian's 2, Pelion's first discussion with Morgan as he sizes her up. Sizes her up is pretty accurate. He's, you know, you almost get the sense that Thrawn can see it too. But maybe he wouldn't bother with that. I don't know. But it is a great setup, which again shows that he's interested if he's actually going to send Pelion, which is a big deal, but more because he's like the harbinger of the fact that Thrawn is going to show up. And to be honest, when I watched this one, I'd forgotten that Thrawn was in the trailer, that he was going to show up. So that was a fun little reminder of that entire thing. All right, let's see. I know we've got quite a few of you watching, which is fabulous. I want to make sure I get to everybody. Let's see. Number 2 for Burnt Waffle. When the Star Destroyers came over the planet, and Thrawn saying this is just a portion of the fleet for your disposal, which gives you an idea and a sense of how big his army is. That's right. That's exactly right. Very ominous. Thrawn's all about the ominous, and I don't know if it's always portrayed this way, but I think Thrawn's got a massive ego, and I think he likes to subtly kind of flex his muscles, so to speak, and I think that's very much on display here. He sees Morgan Elsbeth as a function of his desires, I believe. And I also think he respects her, at least he does now in this one. But of course, we know he eventually uses her loyalty to help him escape when he is trapped in the series of Ahsoka. But that's a conversation for another time. But now it's time to go to our number 1. Number 1 for me, I put Shadows. Now, this was inspired by Corey Clubb. If you heard Corey and I talking about this last week with Ross Hullabin, Corey mentioned the shadows and how it's dark, and I had talked about the lighting and how Thrawn is very ominous and difficult to see by design because of his darker blue skin and because it's nighttime on Corvus. But also he's wearing a black outfit because he hasn't been elevated to Grand Admiral yet, which is all the whole white. So Corey suggested this was like him being in the shadows kind of with the Empire and slowly kind of building up. And I agree with that. I very much agree with that. I thought that was a really cool touch. Really, really neat. And it's very metaphorical. And I love a good metaphor as an English teacher. So that was really cool for me to see. All right, let's see what everybody else has. Darren says, Thrawn's apparent approval of Morgan for the resources Thrawn allows Morgan to utilize. Definitely. Number 1 for Mary. Bo-Katan on the other side of the communicator. They really do a nice job of leading up to this last episode right to the Jedi episode of The Mandalorian. Yeah, it's almost seamless, isn't it? Number 1 for Robert. The connections to The Mandalorian. The reason Morgan was on Corvus and to Thrawn's novels with the advanced TIE fighters he wanted to have made, which of course he ultimately does. A couple. Mr. Fudge is 1. Thrawn saying long live the Empire even though he knows it's going to crumble. Interesting. At this point, though, I don't think he does. But who knows? Because it's hard to tell in the timeline. Well, it has to be before Star Wars Rebels. So it's, no. It's got to be after the Empire is formed. Yeah, well, of course it does. So I don't know. Now I'm getting myself confused. So maybe it's better for me to read what Burnt Waffle has. The ring of the Beskar spear and how Morgan smashes the comment says there is no help coming. Yeah, she's so mean in this, isn't she? And it's around this point where I'm like, I don't know how much more Morgan Elsbeth I can handle because she's so depressing and she's so mean. And then when we get to the second part of this, of looking at Tales of the Empire, then I think we go to kind of a different place. Speaking of that, next week on the show, we are going to talk about your top 5 moments from Tales of the Empire Devoted. It is the first episode in the Morgan Elsbeth trilogy of Tales of the Empire. But just like we did with the Barriss Offee one, boy, I got to get my character straight. Just like we did with Morgan Elsbeth, we did 1 as 1 and then 2 and 3 together. We're going to do the same thing with Barriss Offee. So next week, we're going to do Tales of the Empire Devoted. Mary says the second episode is before Rebels, or at least at the beginning of Rebels. So see, that makes sense. That's exactly what I was trying to say before. But I'm going to blame the scene of school, Mary, and you know what that's like. You kind of get confused with which way is up as you're climbing towards the finish line of another wonderful school year. All right, so that's next week. Let's now go ahead and jump into Ask Dan Z. All right, if you have a specific question or comment about this episode or anything Star Wars related, podcasting, happy to chat with you right here. Total brain dead at the end of the school year. I remember those days well. Yes, I know you do. You taught for a long time. You know what it's like, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But it's definitely time. And Mr. Fudge, I'm sure you're feeling the same way, my friend. Ready for summer to get started. I'm ready for summer to get started. Whether you're in the school system or not, I'm sure you're ready for warmer weather and summer activities. Whatever you're ready for, I know it's going to be a blast because we're going to talk Star Wars every week on Coffee with Kenobi. Why do I think Morgan burned those trees and caused a wildfire? You know, I've been thinking about that. I don't understand that at first, but now that I think about it more, to me, it's like she doesn't know how to be happy anymore. She's given up on the whole happy thing because all she knows is tragedy. So I think she's taken away their hope because the trees are a sign of life, and she has no life inside her really anymore. She's a pretty depressed person, and she inflicts a lot of pain and cruelty on people. So this is one more way to take away any signs of hope or life that the people of Corvus might have had. That's my opinion. Was your class watching Star Wars because I heard TIE Fighters? Well, Mr. Fudge, the odds are pretty good. Pretty good that Star Wars was on. In fact, actually, in my mythology class, I've got a small group of kids who was watching Solo for a project that we're doing at the end of the year. So that's probably what you heard, the Kessel Run sequence, which we did watch today. It was fun. It's always fun to talk with all of you each and every week on Coffee with Kenobi. Please be sure to consider reaching out to MEI and Mouse Fan Travel so you can join us on the Disney Wish. Speaking of summer, next summer 2025, is going to be really, really special because we're going to go on the Disney Wish, and I hope that you will join us. Again, go to coffeewithkenobi.com/Disney Wish to get your no-cost, no-obligation quote and find out more about that. And again, if you like these sandals, these slides that I showed you a little bit ago, go to Heroes and Villains, and you can just type in the code COFFEE20 for 20% off your order. Brian says, great way to start the week. Thanks, Dan. My pleasure. Brian, thanks for joining us. Mary, have a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone, for sure. I debated not doing the show next Monday because it's Memorial Day, but it's the night before last day of school, so I'll be around. So I thought, why not? Let's do some Star Wars. I've got a lot of great shows for you coming out this week. There are going to be more shows of Coffee with Kenobi than usual. Usually we do 2 a week, but there's going to be more this week for some good reasons. I've got a really special show commemorating the 25th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I didn't forget about it. I'm really looking forward to sharing the show with you. More on that later this week. Hope to see you all next week. Yes, Mr. Fudge and Burnt Waffle, great to see you both. Welcome back, and thank you again, everybody, for joining me on CWK Live. Thank you for spreading the word about Coffee with Kenobi, for joining the CWK Cafe, for supporting me in the CWK Alliance, for listening to the show, for reviews, for comments, for sharing the episodes. Whatever you're doing, it's working. It's growing our Star Wars community, and I can't thank you enough. May the stars light your way, my friends. I will talk to you very soon. And remember, this is the live podcast you're looking for. See you soon.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here.